No one cares about your board meeting. Act your age, the CEO messaged in our executive thread on my work anniversary. I read it, smiled and replied, as you wish. Then I halted the 30 minutes funding release. By dawn, his company, login and corporate cards were history. The message came at 8:42 a.m., just before the quarterly board meeting, and ironically, on my fifth work anniversary, at 10. Helix Dynamics. No one cares about your board meeting. Act your age, the CEO texted in our executive group chat. I stared at the glowing screen, reading it twice, once for the words, the second time for the meaning behind them. The chat went dead quiet. No emojis, no replies, just digital silence from the same team that had congratulated me last week for hitting record profits. The kind of silence that isn't neutral. It's cowardly. I typed back 2 words, as you wish. Then I placed my phone face down, straightened my blazer, and walked into the conference room, the one I had spent 3 weeks preparing for, building projections that could have secured $30 million in investor funding. The room was spotless, 12 chairs, 11 empty, only me and the faint hum of the projector. The coffee on the side table had gone cold hours ago. A half-eaten pastry sat beside a name tag, labeled CEO, Ethan Rhodes. For a second, I almost laughed, the kind of laugh that cracks before it turns to tears. They'd made me Chief Financial Officer 5 years ago, when the company was bleeding money. I'd rebuilt it line by line, renegotiated supplier contracts, balanced broken accounts, chased investors across 3 continents. When the board almost fired Ethan last year for financial mismanagement, I had stepped in to defend him, said he was visionary. He'd smiled that day and called me irreplaceable. Now, apparently, I was an inconvenience. I opened my laptop, hands steady, the $30 million transfer authorization to Stratton Ventures, sat waiting in my queue. Final stage, pending my approval. I hovered over the confirm transfer button for a long moment. Then, without another thought, I clicked hold transfer. The confirmation message blinked. Transaction suspended. Awaiting CFO clearance. I took a deep breath. Then I opened the company's internal audit drive, the one only I and the CEO had access to, and dragged her every sensitive file. Every report, every approval chain into a private encrypted folder, under my own credentials. If Ethan wanted to humiliate me publicly, I'd let facts humiliate him quietly. By late afternoon, I walked past his glass office. Ethan Rhodes was exactly as I remembered him during interviews. Confident, charismatic, and utterly self-absorbed. He looked up from his phone and smirked. "You look tense, Julia. Rough meeting?" I smiled politely. "No meeting, actually. You were right." "About what?" he asked. "That no one came." He laughed, shaking his head. "Told you, don't take it personally. People have better things to do than listen to finance talk." "I don't take things personally," I said softly. He grinned. "That's why you're so good at your job." But as I walked away, I realized something. That compliment used to motivate me. Now it disgusted me. By nightfall, the office was dark and quiet. I sat alone at my desk, city lights shimmering against the glass walls. Outside, the world kept moving. Cars, conversations, ambition, all blurring into noise. Inside, I moved with purpose. I opened the Mass Financial Control dashboard. A digital throne of power few people even knew existed. From here, I could see every company account, every card, every hidden transaction, with 3 precise keystrokes. I froze corporate expense accounts, revoked executive card privileges, and locked Ethan's login credentials. Pending routine compliance checks. One click, another, and then silence. The good kind this time. Every unauthorized bonus. Every offshore transfer disguised as research funding. Every transaction he thought no one noticed, all exposed and traceable. By the time dawn began to bleed through the windows, I shut my laptop and exhaled. Tomorrow. Helix Dynamics would wake up to a new kind of quiet, the kind that comes when power shifts, not with noise, but with precision. And for the first time in 5 years, I didn't feel invisible. I felt ready. By 8 a.m., chaos had already begun. Phones were ringing off the hook on the executive floor. Assistants whispered in corners, faces pale. The finance team couldn't access payroll. Department budgets showed system under audit. And the CEO's company card had just been declined for a $200 breakfast bill with 3 investors from Stratton Ventures. Word spread faster than any memo. Something big had happened. Something only one person could have triggered. At 8:17 a.m., my office door burst open so hard the glass trembled. "Julia, what the hell did you do?" Ethan Rhodes barked, storming in. His usually neat tie hung loose. His face was red with panic. I didn't look up from my screen. "Good morning, Ethan." "Don't good morning me." He slammed his palm on my desk. "My accounts are frozen. The investor transfer's gone. And HR just called. Apparently, I'm under internal audit. Are you out of your mind?" I swiveled my chair slowly to face him, calm as ever. "No, Ethan, just compliant." He frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," I said, my tone even, "that under Latwise Section 8.3R of our corporate ethics policy, any discovery of financial irregularities requires immediate freeze on all associated accounts, including the CEO's. I simply followed procedure. He blinked. "Irregularities? What irregularities?" I turned my monitor toward him and clicked open a folder. Rows of transactions appeared. Duplicate invoices. Offshore wire transfers. Consulting fees. To entities with no registered address. Ethan's color drained. "You went through my accounts." "I verified the audit trail," I corrected, "and it turns out you've been hiding company money in shell corporations, using investor capital." His voice cracked. "You can't prove any of that." "I don't have to," I said quietly. "The forensic auditors from Stratton Partners are already reviewing the data. You remember them, the investors for that $30 million round?" His jaw went slack. "You didn't?" "I did," I said. "Last night." Right then, as if on cue, the elevator doors opened with a ding. 3 people stepped out. 2 from Stratton Ventures, and 1 from Tati. Corporate compliance. All in dark suits, all carrying folders. "Mr. Rhodes," said Graham Lennox, Stratton's senior partner. "We need to speak privately, now." Ethan turned to me, panic flickering behind his arrogance. "You set me up." I stood, meeting his gaze. "No, Ethan, you set yourself up. I just stopped covering for you." The room fell silent. The investors escorted him out. No shouting, no threats. Just quiet resignation in the sound of expensive shoes echoing down the hall. By early afternoon, the company rumor mill exploded. An emergency email from the board confirmed it. Effective immediately. Ethan Rhodes has been placed on administrative suspension, pending investigation. The staff chat threads lit up with cautious optimism. Some messages were angry, others were relieved, but one private note in my inbox stood out. "We always knew you were the one holding this place together. Thank you for finally letting us breathe." I read it twice, and for the first time, smiled without restraint. By evening, the board convened an emergency meeting. The room felt different, quieter, but filled with something heavier: respect. Marisol Chen, the senior board director, spoke first. "Julia," she said, folding her hands, "for the last 2 years, you've been running this company in everything but title. You stabilized our finances, regained investor trust, and prevented a disaster." She paused, then smiled. "The board has voted unanimously to appoint you as acting CEO, effective immediately." For a moment, I couldn't speak. "CEO," I repeated softly. Marisol nodded. "Yes, and this time," she said with a grin, "no one's texting you to grow up." The room chuckled lightly. I just sat there, still, letting the weight of it settle in. That night, the building was empty again. I stood in what used to be Ethan's office. My office now, the skyline glittering against the glass. I unlocked my phone and scrolled back to that message. "No one cares about your board meeting. Act your age." I stared at it for a long moment. Then, without hesitation, I typed a reply and hit send. Correction, everyone came. They just came for me. 2 months later, Helix Dynamics reported record-breaking growth under new leadership. The same investors who once laughed at my spreadsheets now ask for my insight before every decision. When a journalist asked me during a press conference how it felt to replace my former boss, I smiled faintly and said, "Leadership isn't about who talks the loudest. It's about who still listens, even when they're being ignored." Moral: sometimes silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. And when you're underestimated long enough, your victory doesn't roar. It signs the checks.